Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot coming at you with something resembling a comic book roundup. Currently, there are not new comics being published because of everything that's going on. However, I personally kind of decided to maybe pick something up, maybe pick up something new that I had an interest in. And so I remembered back in this past October, one of my more prominent contemporaries did a video talking about James Tynion IV's horror series for Boom entitled "Something Is Killing the Children." Actually remember after watching the video on it, next time I went to the shop, I asked about it, but they were out of stock on the first. They were waiting on reorders for the first issue, so I basically said, okay, well, maybe some other time. Once those are in, I'll have to, pick it up. And of course, I promptly put it out of my head. Until a few weeks ago, while picking up my stuff, I noticed, oh, the new issue's out. So I thought, hey. And so I scrolled that away in my head, and then a couple weeks ago, while at the shop, I asked if they had the other, all the other issues, and sure enough, 1 through 6. So I ended up picking up 1 through 6. It took a little while. I took a little while to read them, just to but yeah. So, but this is actually a book that will be added to the roundup from here on out. Once new comics start getting published again, of course. So that we're not completely lost. The first 6 issues of Something Is Killing the Children, starting of course with issue 1. So as I mentioned, this is a horror series, not a superhero book, and we all know I do love me some horror. James Tynion IV has written. He's a damn good writer, and is of note, especially is Batman. So, anyway, so the book begins. A handful of maybe teenage boys are having a slumber party, playing Truth or Dare, and one of them picks Truth. So the one who says, okay, well, what's the most scared you've ever been? And he explains that he heard this weird noise coming out of the ravine, like a big moan. Thought it was the wind, and he tried to see what it was. And for a second he didn't know what he saw, but a thing standing taller than a tree in the middle of the yard. Had long fingers and sharp teeth. Hid under the blanket for like an hour, looked again and it was gone. Of course his friends don't believe him. And so, now it's his turn to, make the offer of Truth or Dare. And to the person that, called him out, so he says Truth or Dare. Then fast forward a bit. Turns out that something killed his friends. Something has since killed his friends. He's talking to the police. He explains that they went down to the ravine. Something killed them though, and he heard them screaming. Fast forward to 2 weeks later. A young girl in a wagon is waiting outside the forest, and a slightly older but still young girl comes out of the woods carrying two bloody machetes covered in blood and with a mask over covering her face from the nose downward. She drinks some water and then takes a phone call, explaining that she has to go to a place called Archer's Peak. So, back to Archer's Peak. Our hero, our initial protagonist, James. I had to stop and remember that. He's returning to school, and everyone assumes he killed his friends. It's also very much hinted that it's heavily implied that James is gay, and one of the local bullies starts calling him a pervert, and keeps on yelling at him, and then James shouts him to shut the fuck up, which gets him taken to the principal's office. He's talking with the principal, and it's actually a really well written scene because the principal is actually written like someone who understands, hey, you're going through a rough time, and I have no idea what I can say to help you. Even offers to kind of offers to give him if you want, you can just go home for the day. But James is like, they're doing movies in English. I like that. So, anyways, cut back to our to the Archer's Peak bus depot, and the young blonde lady has arrived. Turns out there are a lot of missing children in Archer's Peak. And so she meets James, explaining that she wants to know what he saw. And she tells him, hey, you're scared, probably doubting you saw anything at all, but the world makes a lot less sense than it used to. And as the days go on, that feeling gets worse. But whatever it is you tell me you saw, I'm going to believe it. No matter how weird it sounds, no matter how scary. And so, it turns out, when he tells her, when we see it, basically, yeah, he heard them screaming. He did try to kind of go back, but they were all ripped. We see Noah trying to get him to help him, but Noah doesn't exist below the waist at this point. And so James runs off screaming. Yeah. And he actually sees the creature, which, well, that's our first look in the book of our creature. And so our heroine takes a call and explains that it's apparently a Class E7 and it's in Arthur's Peak, Wisconsin. And she's got it handled. She explains to James that there's a monster in the woods. This is why she's here. She's going to kill it. And James volunteers to help. Which brings us, of course, to issue 2. The cover, which you saw in the lovely thumbnail. So, issue 2 begins by introducing us to Tommy. Tommy works at a local restaurant, and his little sister's missing. And his mom wants Tommy to put up more flyers. As he's leaving, he hears a noise, and apparently the creature is right there, but he can't see it. So the restaurant that Tommy works at is Applebee's. So James and our heroine arrive, and she basically offers Tommy $50 for one of the booths, coffee, and just and just leave her alone. Though he does mention that Thursday might be an issue because the manager working Thursdays, she's kind of a stickler for the rules, so she says that she'll see her turn on Thursday. So she's got a map of the area as well as information about the missing children. She explains that they're using the booth at Applebee's because restaurants like that are all going to go out of business in a few years, and for the most part, no one goes to them anymore. And they have big tables. We also get a brief few panels seeing her fighting off other monsters, explaining that she's done this kind of thing before. And so Tommy shows up and promptly goes back on his deal, kicks James and the girl out, though she does smack him around a bit. So, but after she leaves, Tommy calls the sheriff. And our hero gets the room and talks with her stuffed octopus. That's the kind of a thing. The stuffed octopus is a little more than a stuffed octopus, though. And then the cops show up to arrest her. We also get to look at what the stuffed octopus really is. A little more than just a, stuffed octopus missing an eye. But that is where the issue concludes. Which brings us to issue 3. One thing I do really enjoy about this is the way it builds up. And, yeah, well, you'll see more of that as it goes on. So we begin with the creature in the woods attacking a house. We see there are bloody bodies everywhere. And then, well, that appears to be, well, that. Well, at Applebeam's, Tommy, a man named Henry, is having drinks to kind of, and talking about his son, who's apparently dead, another victim of the monster. Tommy and his coworkers are having a few post-work drinks and discussing their recent guest. Tommy's convinced that the girl is involved in the disappearance of his sister, and, well, he's going to do what he has to do if the cops let her go. And so we learn our young heroine's name as she's being interrogated by the cops. Erica Slaughter. And so she explained, apparently she's been asked where she was on a bunch of dates, and she told where she was. And if you look those places up, you're going to find a lot of stories about little towns like this with missing kids. She says, it's gonna freak the sheriff out, but he's gonna want to lock her up and throw away the key. But it doesn't change the fact that he saw her getting off the bus. So he knows she wasn't there when things went bad. But locking her up will make him feel like he's doing something, which hits the nail on the head. And so she's looking at the board with all the missing kids on it and asks, okay, so who went missing first? Basically, figuring out when things started and how things started. Of course, the sheriff thinks that Eric's messing with him. Well, and she then explains that soon he's going to get a call. After the call, the sheriff's going to let her go. A little bit after that, the problem is going to go away. He'll never know what happened or why. It's going to drive him a little bit crazy, but the kids will stop dying. And it'll happen sooner if she's allowed to talk. If he tells her who the first kid to disappear was. However, the sheriff's informed that another killing has happened. The killing from the beginning of the issue. But he agrees to let her go. And so Erica meets up with James, and then she tells him a little more about what's going on. Standing outside the woods, decided though that they're going to need weapons, lots of weapons. Now, normally, one might want to, criticize a book for, a series for having such a slow build-up, but it's at least well done. So, yeah. Anyways, moving on to issue 4. There's actually kind of when the build-up starts to pay off. So, at House Depot, Erica and James are looking at weapons. Currently, chainsaws. The guy explains that professionals use a particular model quite a bit. It can tear through just about any wood you want, and it's got sensors. So if you drop it or lose control of the handle, it'll stop dead. Before, well, it stops you dead. And he adds, he's got these crappy run-down models that you can drop and they won't stop going until they chew through your leg or just about anything. They have a mind of their own, but he doesn't like selling those models. So she asks, "Can I see those?" Which kind of throws him for a bit of a loop. Her cart has various, an axe, some hedge trimmers, and she buys a chainsaw. One of the crappy run-down models that'll keep going and going. Meeting back up with Tommy, he's gone to see his dad, who's a little on the drunk side. As to be pretty much one might kind of expect for someone who's got a missing daughter. They have a bit of an argument, but it's the kind of thing where, yeah, they're arguing, but they both know they're not mad at Eddie. They're not. The argument, it's really just to avoid talking about what's really going on. However, it turns out James was there for a reason. His father owns a small revolver, which Tommy picked up. Well, cut to the sheriff at the most recent murders. Turns out that his brother is the medical examiner. And this doesn't look, it looks like an animal attack, but at the same time it doesn't. He explains that predators go for the kill. If they want to stop you, they go for soft tissue. The faster they get the kill, less likely you are to do some damage. Then they can get the meat easy. But this thing didn't want meat, not really. It rips them to them, but leaves them whole. People, on the other hand, if they're on a killing mood and they're angry, they know it hurts them. And that's where they want to hurt you. They want to draw it out. These killings, there's intent here. There's, as he eventually puts it, some scary shit at work. Also, there's a massive hole in the wall. However, then, one of the deputies arrives and explains that the sheriff has a phone call. And he was asked for it on the deputy's personal cell phone. It is, of course, the call about Erica. which basically explains, hey, terribly sorry about the trouble your town is facing right now. I want to do what I can to help. And Erica isn't with anyone. So, back to Erica and James, who are now going into the woods with their cart full of weapons. And James asks her point blank, what are monsters? To which she says, they're big, scary things that eat children. And kind of says that you kind of expected that there has to be a bigger answer than that. She explains that, the monster ate them because they could see, ate his friends because they could see him. They believed in him. They believed in monsters. He says, I don't believe in monsters, though. And she goes, yeah, you did. Of course you did. Believing is a different thing than knowing. You're old enough to know that there aren't monsters in the world, but you don't believe that. Not really. You hear a noise in the woods or see a shadow shaped wrong, you're still afraid. It's because your brain's still developing, not fully cooked yet, as she puts it. And she finds that can actually be an advantage because adults can't see monsters. And so so James asks her, then are you younger? Because you can see, you're an adult, you appear to be an adult, but you can see them. But she also explains that there are ways you can make yourself see them. He asks how, but she just shoots it out, explaining that she's not going to give him any ideas when he has a shopping cart full of weapons. He can already see them, and when he's older, he's going to want to forget. So now that she knows who the first to disappear was, and where the first child disappeared, that's where she's going to go in. James corrects her saying, "You mean we will?" But no. But she decides, okay, fine. But if James follows her, he has to do what she says. And especially if they find a certain type of den, she is not going to let him inside because these things get stronger, and the way they get stronger is horrible. James says that he's seen horrible. She tells him that not like this he hasn't. But he promises that if they get there and she tells him to stay outside, that he will. Meanwhile, one of the deputies has been following Erica and James and reports back to the sheriff, who then tells him not to follow her into the woods. Tells him, leave it be, let her do what she's going to do. Though, Sheriff basically says, the hell with that. Or the deputy says, the hell with that. About the time Tommy shows up. And he's going into the woods after, planning to kill Erica after knocking out the deputy. So Erica and James find the den. And Erica has a realization that the creature is bigger than it should be. Apparently, though, the stuffed octopus knew something that it didn't tell Erica. And so Erica tells James to hide. gives him some of the weapons, and then goes with a chainsaw and a glow stick into the monster's den. And it turns out that Tommy has followed her in. And he finds her shortly after she finds the remains of the missing victims. Erica tells Tommy he needs to get down. However, we learn it's because the monster's right behind him. And that's where the issue ends. Which obviously brings us to issue 5. We start off with James outside. Basic kind of thing that, just sucks. He finds the remains of a dead dog. And the stuffed octopus, which was in one of the bags that Erica gave him, starts talking to him. Saying that he doesn't know why Erica brought James along. He's such a weak little thing. So he should run back home. Because this is not a job for scared children. These creatures eat scared children. James, of course, says that the stuffed octopus isn't real. No way is it real. But it explains that, of course, I'm not. That's right, I'm not real. This is all a nightmare. A nightmare that got of your friends. It's easier to think that way. That way, he doesn't have to face the fact that he led them down into the dark woods late at night to their deaths. So you don't have to face that it was his fault. He doesn't have to face it as his fault. And then the octopus says, okay, do something about this then. You've got weapons, Erica doesn't. You have the means to help her. If you don't want her to die, this is the time to act. So back in the cave, Erica and Tommy. Erica tries to get him to approach her, do so slowly. Then she promptly pushes Tommy out of the way and charges the creature after turning on the chainsaw. And while Tommy can't see the monster, you can at least see the blood coming out of it from the chainsaw. Which, of course, makes no sense to him. And he fires at it. Though that really just started to piss it off. He fires again in the dark, and hit James in the stomach. And then they find something even scarier. Not all the victims in the den are dead. They find a little girl named Bian, who says that she's been in the den for a while. And Tommy finds the remains of his sister. Then realizing that there's only one way to... She's gonna have to make Tommy able to see. So Erica tells him that she's going to do something. She needs to do something. It's going to hurt like hell, but it's the only way that Tommy's going to get through it. So she takes out a small blade, lightly stabs him in the temple, and she apologizes to him. Here's a quick vision of those that work with, that, shall we say, Erica works with. And now he can also see the creature. And so Erica gives him James and beyond, and basically says, hey, carry them out of here. I'll take care of this. And she also after Tommy leaves with the two kids, she also swears she's going to burn the octopus. She then attacks the creature, and Tommy comes out of the woods as the deputy he pistol whipped is recovering. And Tommy also tells the deputy, hey, you need to get James, you need to get him to the hospital because he's been shot. Later on, Erica's killed the creature and returns to where she had James waiting. Her phone's ringing. She finds that she did what she had to do to save lives, and she'll deal with the consequences. Going on to explain that it wasn't a food stash that she came upon. It was a nest. And what she just killed was a mother. A mother who had children. They're out there now and hungry. And that is where the issue ends. Which then brings us to, of course, issue 6. The most recent issue, in fact. We once again see the night that James's friends were killed. And kind of the beginnings of what happened, as James is remembering after having his gunshot wound taken care of. Eric is looking in on him, and Tommy's there as well. Erica asks if Tommy broke anything. He says that he didn't, and so she claims that she should have hit him harder then. He asked her, if you were in my position, what would you have done? She says she wouldn't have shot a kid. He asks if she told the cops, and he says that that's up to him. He then asks if she'll explain what's going on to him. No. Then he goes off on her a bit, and then in return, she breaks his arm. And she tells him that he's standing at the edge of a pit, and he's got a glimpse of something in there, and he thinks he wants to know what it is, but she promises him he doesn't. She tells him to get his arm in a cast, get in his car, and drive. Get out of the state for a while. Don't come back till this is all over. Which is when and he kind of doesn't realize it's not over. Cut to the sheriff and his brother, the medical examiner, at the nest, finding all the dead kids. And yeah, that. And the ME basically says, okay, it's clear you know something you know something weird. You know something weird, and you're not telling him. He says, no, he isn't telling him. And so, turned out beyond, the little girl is at the station, drinking hot cocoa, wrapped in blankets, telling stories about monsters eating her friends in a cave in the woods. The deputy that had been following Erica is told to, since he has a concussion, go home, take the week off. Which he realizes someone has gotten to the sheriff. So at the police station, Erica arrives and talks to Beyond and to find out, what she knows. And so the receptionist at the police station, Gail, has been letting Beyond color and also gets Erica a cup of coffee. And Beyond explains that she's drawing the babies. Explaining that there are 5 of them. And in fact, that's why you had all the dead kids in there. Of course, Beyond's also drawn a picture of Erica fighting the monster. In Chicago, we learn that it's the Slaughter family that hunts monsters. One other member is being sent up north to deal with the situation that Eric is in. Explaining that he's to relieve Eric of duty and send her back home, and then he will finish the job. Explain that the official position for the rest of the order is that the one being sent to take Erica's place is responsible for Erica's failure and overreach in the North Woods, and further breaking of order protocol will rest on him. He's then asked what to do about Tommy Mahoney. Explained that he dies, of course, and that the House of Slaughter has learned its lesson about picking up strays. The implication being that that's actually how Erica is a part of the Order of Slaughter. Is that she is a stray. And that is the first 6 issues of Something is Killing the Children. Like I said, once normal comic publishing resumes, this is going to be on the list. So yeah. Anyway, as always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long, rock hard, and stay safe, everyone.